How to close more deals as a health expert using the 3 levels sales framework. I'm going to show you a little bit of what I call the 3 levels sales framework, which will show you why most sales are quite ineffective because they're not powerful. So I'm going to walk you through this. So every single prospect that you're talking to, that you're going to want to sell in your program, usually is at this place of having pain in their life. And they want to move to the place of having no pain in their life. Now, usually people are just trying to sell at one level, which is basically how do you go from pain to no pain? I'm going to give you a quick example of this. I'll give 2 examples. One example could be if I am a running coach and someone's pain is that they want to run their first 10K. And the pain is that they just can't seem to get past running their first couple miles. Their body hurts. They just feel like they're getting injured. They just feel like they can't do it. So most running coaches would be like, hey, I can take you from where you are right now, not being able to run 10,000 meter, and I'm going to take you to no pain, which is being able to do your first 10K. In the business example, it could be someone who's like, hey, I don't know how to get any clients. I want to learn how to get clients. And you could be like, hey, you're not getting any clients. I will teach you how to get clients, get to your first $5,000 a month. That's one level of sales. This is what we call short-term results. Now, here's the thing. You can make sales on just using one level, but it's not as powerful or as effective if you use more levels. So let's start to talk about the second and the third level. The second level is helping people realize that it's not just going from where they're right now, so no pain, it's actually also making sure we avoid more pain. So let me give you an example. So in the running analogy, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm trying to run, but I can't get to a 10K. I can't run that far of a distance. My body hurts. I'm getting injured, whatever it might be. We want to ask the question in sales of, if you don't get this figured out, what's going to happen? Well, probably I'm going to stop running altogether. I might not be motivated. I might just go back to not exercising at all, which is probably not going to be good for my health, right? So you're helping them realize that, hey, you're currently at this pain point, but if we don't figure it out, you're probably not just going to stay here. You're not, because humans don't just stay. If we're feeling a little bit of pain at this level, we're not going to stay. Either we're going to detract and go worse, or we're going to figure it out and get better. So the second level is actually understanding what is the cost of inaction. The cost of inaction, or of not doing anything different, is that things actually get worse. So now what you can do on a sales call is you can be like, oh, if things don't change, this is where you're going to end up. So instead of it ending here, let's make sure we get you to here, running your first 10K. Now we have 2 levels of power when it comes to selling something effectively, okay? But that's not where it's going to end, as obviously the title is 3 levels of sales, is you have to also think about what we call the long-term results, long-term, and what I've titled up here, which is the gain. This is having the 3rd level. So when I'm talking to someone, let's say again, the running analogy, basically this is where you're at right now. You're feeling the pain of not being able to accomplish your goals. Well, if we don't figure that out, you're gonna end up in a worse position. You're gonna end up in a worse position. So not only do we wanna help you with getting to this place of running your first 10K, but also what's the long-term vision? Well, maybe I wanna run my first half marathon next year, or my first full marathon the year after that. I wanna keep on going. I want long-term results. I wanna be able to do more with all of this. You want them to start to see basically the gain or the long-term stuff. It's a little bit more of like casting the vision with them on a discovery call. Because if you can show how your program, so many people's programs just does this, it goes from here to here. If you can show how your program is going to basically help mitigate the risk here and take them from all the way of this, basically we call it hell, to heaven, you will much more likely be able to close that person as a client, and you'll be able to serve them much more long term. Because also your client is no longer thinking about just the short-term results, they're thinking about the long-term results. You're helping them actually plan and think for the future. And you're showing them how much risk you're mitigating, right? When you think about risk that you're mitigating, you think about buying things like insurance, right? Basically, buying insurance is basically like, hey, if the worst case happens, can you still be okay? That's why you buy insurance. So you're helping them realize that we are mitigating the risk of basically we are going to be pushing to avoid the worst case. We're going to be getting you away from your current spot. We're going to get you to your first goal, which will allow you to get to your ultimate goal. That is the 3 levels of sales. That's how you can understand that your sales process can be so much more effective. So what I want you to do is think back at the last sales calls you've had, discovery calls you've had, and realize how many levels of the powerful framework are you using. For most people, it's just they're using one. Sometimes we're using two, but if you use all three, that can in and of itself increase your close ratio, the percentage of calls that you're closing, by 10%, 15%. So make sure that this is baked into whatever sales framework or sales script you're using so that you can close more deals and help more people avoid hell and get to heaven.